most of the musicians I know, producers, songwriters, who even had a lot of success, has a story about how they either almost quit or why they're not doing what they, why they aren't where they want to be, or what is it that happened that broke your heart about the business?
Yeah. Okay. That's a multi-faceted answer. Obviously, the first broken heart I had was when I got dropped. And my whole life seemed like it crashed. Yeah. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Not only with my career, but just with my whole self. My whole self was caught up in me being a singer, writer, producer. Sure. And when that went away, I didn't feel like I needed to exist anymore. So that's the closest I ever probably been to even remotely being like, I don't want to be here anymore. That was very deep. Yeah. But I think finding my voice through Martha, through SWV, saved me, right? But the heartbreak that I have now, this many years later, is how the industry top labels have taken advantage of the talent, the writers, the producers, the artists themselves, in that they changed the way we get paid, which is exactly what the writers are dealing with now in the film world. Industry, right? We already had that happen in a major way when in 2004 they changed the pay scales of how we get paid because of downloading and streaming. That's right. So I feel like, I guess my heart is broke when I see people say we went platinum. I'm like, did you? And it doesn't mean anything anymore. Right. That breaks my heart.
Can we talk? Oh, can we talk? Can we talk? R&B.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn, and I am super excited to have this person here. First of all, this is the power of pure manifestation, all right? So if you guys have been keeping up with the show, the first episode, I was just talking about one of what I believe is the greatest R&B songs, really like since the, in the last 30, 40 years. And I mentioned this guy and I said his name. I called him out by name. Mr. Brian Alexander Morgan. Brother, thank you for coming and showing up.
Whoa, man. Listen, manifestations is real.
For sure.
And when I saw that, I was like, you know what? There's something about your energy. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna reply to this guy because you have the energy that said it's very sincere. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? There's no reason for me not to reply and tell him everything he wants to know.
100.
So that's, hey, I'm with it.
That's what's up, man. I'm so happy to have you here to the Can We Talk R&B podcast. So Can We Talk R&B?
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for. I mean, it's so many things that I can say about you. I feel like I know you, honestly. I've been following you on Instagram.
I like that.
And one thing about, I guess the reason I even started this show, I'm an independent R&B artist, but I've been in the game just for 20 years. Oh, right? Wow. Over 20 years. I've worked with so many experienced producers, singer-songwriters, as a singer-songwriter myself. And I want to highlight people like yourself. Like, you guys are legends, have contributed legendary music to
it's so trippy.
The ethos.
I hear that so much. Can I tell you that just makes me so weird? The legend part thing, like that gets thrown around a lot, right?
That's right.
And I don't know if I'm worthy of that, man. Like my heroes are the Stevie Wonders, and so I feel like I don't have the catalog to say that, but I don't know.
That's interesting you say that. That's interesting. Earlier I was talking about this. The difference between an icon and a legend. Or someone who's contributed legendary things. Right? So we have someone like Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder's an icon.
Period.
Michael Jackson, an icon.
Period.
But we cannot ever look over the legendary feats.
The contributions
that people contribute.
That's a distinction.
I
like that.
You know what I mean? So I feel like what you did with, listen, I mean, we're gonna get into this a little bit down the line of the show. But what you have contributed, the songs you wrote, I'm sorry, SWV, in my view, is the best female group of the 90s. Okay. Well, honestly, probably the best when it comes to catalog, when it comes to song for song. Not necessarily the whole Big Bang, not necessarily, but when it comes song for song, there is no other female group I'm gonna put over SWV. I make playlists all the time. Yeah. Their music is still hidden right now the same way. So I love Destiny's Child. They're up there, but it's a little bit different lane, a little bit different. I love En Vogue. They were, you know what I mean?
I want, if you can make a distinction, what kind of distinction would you make between Destiny's Child and SWV? What is the distinction?
They were a little more pop.
Oh, Destiny's
Child.
For sure.
That's the distinction.
Okay. That's easy.
Yeah.
And the girls are more church and street.
You know what I'm saying?
And I call it chip hop. Because it's church with little hip hop.
Yeah. I got you.
I said that like 30 years ago. Nobody cares now.
Gotcha. I got you. Well, we're gonna dive into it, but first of all, like, what got you? What made you fall in love with R&B?
Woo, my God! When you're so young and your ears are hearing Donny Hathaway, Stevie, Sly, Bobby Womack. I'm just talking about the stuff that was playing in my house with my mom and dad. Those are my immediate, influences, like Smokey.
Yes.
So just that Temptations, Eddie Kendrick's voice, all those things that have to do with something soothing to your soul. Yeah. And literally soul was the word that they were using at the time. That's the word. So that's I'm like, right. Soul music is the beginning of all my stuff, I think. And then my dad was really eclectic and he liked rock. So he liked the Jimi Hendrix stuff and he liked Santana. He liked the Latin influence stuff. So I got all that very, very early.
Nice. Yeah. And you're originally from
Wichita, Kansas.
Mm-hmm. And you one of them ones coming out of Kansas?
Yeah. Man, listen, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So what you do is you do what most people are doing, and that is music. In church, the whole, the deal. So like, there's no big oceans to go to.
Yeah.
There's rivers, but all the white kids die in them every year. So black kids be like, not doing that. So
is that one of those? Is that one of those lakes that covered up a black city or something?
Or Indian burial stuff. I'm in Kansas. I don't mess with the water and the drunk people.
Yeah.
Not doing it. So I tended to be anywhere near records were. That's what my thing was. My mom's friends, when I would go visit, you know how your mom take you around with her friends.
Yeah.
I didn't care where I was. I'm going straight to the record player.
Nice.
And people's record collection. So they started hiding the records when I would come over as a 5-6-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah, real talk. And then my first thing I ever stole was records from my babysitters. Got my ass beat. I still have it to this day. Nice. I stole 2 records.
Just rogue.
So One Ads by Honeycomb, 1971. It was brand new. And I stole this song called The Jed Clampett, 1971, on Uni MC. And I knew all the labels too. That was another thing.
Just roguish.
Man, I was so passionate about records. The first thing I learned was record labels and what they meant and who was on them. So my mom used to do this little party thing she would do with me and with her little friends. She'd be like, Brian, what label is Gene Knight on? And I'd be like, Stax.
Nice.
I was a 6-year-old saying this stuff. They were like, what? How does he know that? What label is the Stylistics on? Avco.
Wow.
And it don't be it wasn't major like Atlantic. I still knew the names. So before I could barely read.
That's crazy.
That because I was obsessed with records.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember, I guess growing up, I'm a few years, I guess, behind you.
For sure.
But
like a decade, I think.
Maybe.
No, definitely.
Well,
check that.
Okay. We'll take it. Well, during our time, I mean, we grew up real heavy. I mean, I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 80. And my our biggest influence was gospel.
Absolutely.
We grew up real heavy on the Clark Sisters, the Winans, Commission.
The stuff that influenced me as a young teenager.
Gotcha.
Which was important.
Sure.
Because if I hadn't had the Stevie, Charlie, Donnie stuff first before the gospel thing, before I ever start playing.
Yeah.
Because really, let's talk about it. The truth is, it's when I started playing that those things you just mentioned became a thing.
Gotcha.
Like just listening to records as a little kid, I'm not thinking about chords.
That's right.
I'm just like, Michael said, I want you back. I believe it. ABC.
That's right.
I'm in.
That's right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
But when we started sliding into 1976, when I'm 10, and now I'm trying to figure out chords on stuff. Well, in 76, that's that Songs in the Key of Life album. So now we're coming into chords and structure, but it's at church where you find out, that person can play these kind of chords.
Yeah.
Like the girl that was the biggest influence on me as a kid was this lady, Cherry Dennis, who was the daughter of my pastor. She played in the style of Aretha Franklin, more traditional.
Gotcha.
Like James Cleveland, that style of very Baptist, like that vibes, right? So that's how I started out playing like that. But then I noticed when I would go to the Church of God in Christ church, if I played like that, instant ridicule. Like,
tell me about it.
What is that?
I grew up Koji.
So you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And one of my mom's best friends was Koji.
Yeah.
So she played in that traditional style. That's how I learned. But I was instantly shunned with that style because in the Church of God in Christ church, they were way more advanced as far as what they were doing chords wise and what they were doing rhythmically.
Yeah.
And they were all about, it really had to be funky. Let's just keep it 100.
Right.
Like, you go to Kojic, they on that Hammond, it's funky, and by the time you get to the shout music, it's a rap.
It's a rap.
So when I realized that difference,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be seen as corny, I made it my business to start studying other stuff. So then I started listening to Herbie Hancock, and I started listening to more jazzier stuff.
Yeah.
That's
interesting. Like Stevie Wonder had, I can't think of the song specifically, but Twinkie Clark when she did.
Yeah, of course.
That was
Master Blaster. Yeah.
That's right. So
sure.
she
lifted that all day.
No question.
And we loved it.
Yeah.
And I started playing for a Kojic church as a kid, like as a young teenager, like 17 years old, 16, 17. And I left my own Baptist church and started playing for a Kojic church. So I did all the Clark Sisters stuff.
Gotcha.
At the church. I
Yeah.
took my drum machine and a keyboard and literally programmed it. So when I hit the drum machine button, it was like,
Gotcha.
I was doing the record
Gotcha.
in the pulpit.
Gotcha.
So they like me.
Did you ever, I guess, coming from the church, like, did your family play music?
My dad was
musicians?
a musician. My dad was a guitar player. Thought he was Jimi
Gotcha.
Hendrix. He played left-handed.
Gotcha.
And he had a band, and they would rehearse in our tiny little house. And that was all very, very powerful to a kid to hear a drummer and a player and all these things happening. And then they made a little record. They made a little 45, which I still have to this day.
Nice.
And that was amazing because I could say my dad is on this record. And that's to me, between the church influence of that girl who was a young girl playing piano, which I was like, whoa, if she can do it, and she's only like 13 at the time, and I was just this little kid. I'm like, I think I can do what she's doing.
So you're self-taught.
Self-taught for sure.
Nice.
No school, none of that.
Nice. So coming from, I guess, from that point, church beginnings, this is where you got your chops. You are falling in love. You already love R&B because of the music your dad's playing and so forth.
Right.
What took you to, I guess, the place where you just knew you were going to pursue music as a career?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so the developing stage, when, like I said, when you're getting, we got competition like crazy in Kansas. Like I said, there's nothing else to do.
Gotcha.
So everybody can play, everybody can sing, and some people can write.
Gotcha.
So I started moving in the church circles of various people who were more advanced than others, and so. There's a dude named Clifton Fisher. He played like really dope chords, and I was like, "Whoa, I can't play at all. I got to figure this how I'm gonna make it be like that."
Yeah.
And the more I hung around them kind of cats, the more I kind of developed. Okay, I see what they're doing, and I can kind of do it. But writing wasn't a thing to me until the gospel stuff became my way into learning how to write and structure stuff. So Clark Sisters, Commission, Vanessa Bell, Winans.
Yes.
Andre Crouch and the Disciples, the Hawkins from out here.
Yes.
So all those styles of production, especially in the 80s, were really, really top tier.
Yes.
Like their
No
productions
question.
were as sharp as Earth, Wind, and Fire.
No question.
All day. Shout out to Bill, what's his name? Bill Moss. And what's another Bill? Bill Maxwell.
Bill Maxwell.
The producer of the Andre Crouch and the Winans records.
Nice.
Genius producer.
Yeah. Their music was so good.
Question is, what? All them joints that are incredible, and you can Look at Me on Tremaine, her solo joints, just Tremaine incredible. Hawkins. So I think my ears started to perk up with that and listen to music differently than I had done as a child.
Yeah.
So now I'm 15. You got the Clark Sisters doing their thing with Is My Living in Vain. That's a whole vibe. And then Commission came in the mid 80s and like, okay, they put in the pop Chicago vibes, like the rock group Chicago. They was putting that spin on it, which I love, which is a David Foster thing.
That's right.
And I just wanted all those elements to be part of my thing, and it did become part of my style.
That's amazing. I mean, that era or that time is those are my foundational times, and that was the closest thing to R&B that we could listen to in our house. You know what I'm saying?
Church house.
Yeah, because you
preacher kid.
Kinda. I'm a preacher's. I'm like 4 or 5 preachers' nephew, right?
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, and my mom's an evangelist. You know what I mean?
Wow. So, and it's coaching.
And it's coaching.
I'm already knowing.
Yeah,
pressure.
so I was trained in that. Yeah, I was trained in that very thoroughly, right?
Yes.
So, but just to say this, in our household, in my house, my parents, my dad loved Stevie Wonder. My dad loved Marvin Gaye.
Thank God.
Sade.
Yes.
So we got a little bit of taste of that, Whitney Houston, And and of course, just being out in the streets, we would hear everything else.
Right.
So it wasn't as stifled in our household, but that's what gave us the opportunity.
And that makes it make sense because what I just described to you is the same thing you were experiencing. It's just in a different way.
Absolutely.
I was experiencing it at trying to figure out how to write. And do that thing. You were experiencing it as a listener, but it's the same vibes.
No question. I mean, those same things is what inspired me to want to do it.
Right.
Yeah, to try to sound like
right,
like
which
Mr.
is why,
Jones.
Right, and which is why I love it when I hear today's kids and producers say, my style is the style that made them want to do it. That's like the best compliment you could give somebody is like, whoa. So that means whatever I got from what I got it from, it went through me and went on through.
Yeah.
That's supposed to happen.
I listening to you, right? And I was skipping ahead, we were gonna go back. When the SWV project, You're Always on My Mind.
The Gap Band Flip.
That, I'm glad you just said that.
Yeah.
I could hear that.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else.
A lot of people didn't.
I can hear that.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. That's a direct, this an homage.
Well, in that, I can hear you're of the tree, right? So like to me, I kind of categorize both. Categorize
of the tree,
right? So
copyright.
I categorize. I think we just recorded it, so it'll be on me. But, and I'm paying for this.
Got it. Done.
Yeah. So, but no, I think about the Stevie tree, right?
Yes.
I think about
the branches,
the branch, right? So I think of someone like Charlie Wilson. He comes from that tree.
Absolutely.
I think of the Aaron Halls, guys
DJ
like
Rogers.
that. Rogers
is more directly related to Charlie's branch.
Wow.
Charlie's influence was DJ Rogers, and then Sly before that.
Got you. But I hear you coming up. You're a bud off of that branch.
I'm totally because those definitely are my wheelhouse. Stevie, Sly, Charlie, Donnie. I'm somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then you throw the Clark sisters' sensibilities to how I arrange harmonies, because I'm very much a fan of Twinkie's style of unison versus
for sure.
Unison back and forth between unison and harmony things. Almost all my records have it. I'm so into
your arrangements,
and then harmony.
Yeah, your arrangements, bro. Hold on, we get ahead of it, dude. Your arrangements. Look, the musician in me, I love. First of all, harmony arrangements are my forte.
Okay.
So when I listen to, listen, let's just relax for a second. Cause I'm about to get hype.
Let's get into it.
Hype. Okay, so we're just gonna get to it, man. So from those upbringings, you already got the chops. So you're now, or you're building the chops.
Yeah.
You're building the chops. What got you to? I know you came out when you were from Kansas. You moved to Sacramento.
Yeah, and the reason why was because I had this good friend named Steve Williams. He was a big fan of Club Nouveau. Club Nouveau, who had blown up in 87 with Lean On Me remake and Why You Treat Me So Bad and all those dope records. But Jay King, the leader of that group, was the guy who was responsible for Rumors on Timex Social Club the year before that, in 86. So he was already on this trajectory of kind of doing street type music. That was because I thought Rumors was a demo. When I heard How Do Rumor Get Started, I was like, is that a joke? What is that? What is that? And then when it was a smash, I was like, that's not a joke. And then the next thing I heard was, the records that followed it, like Why You Treat Me So Bad or Situation Number 9, those records, the Club Nouveau records, they had a particular sound. Yeah. What I didn't know was that those people were from Sacramento in the Bay Area.
Nice.
Vallejo and all that.
Yeah.
So I never ever sought out to be involved with those people at all, because frankly in 86, my first time visiting LA, we thought we were about to get signed to A&M Records through John McClain, because Tremaine had just done in 1985, she had a hit called Fall Down, club record. She was trying to follow in the footsteps of the Clark sisters in 81 when You Brought the Sunshine. So there was this thing where the major labels were snatching certain gospel or message oriented joints and then putting them out in the clubs, because the Clark sisters
BB and CeCe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the Clark sisters was the catalyst.
I didn't realize Tremaine Hawkins had
her joint called Fall Down. Look it up.
Okay.
Funky.
Okay.
And I loved it. And so we were meeting with him. I was in a group. Me, this girl Lachelle Matheny, and my friend James Williams, rest in peace. We were in a group called Cachet. This time, we called Cachet then. And so John McClain liked us and wanted us to do a thing, but he was like, he still thought we were more gospel than anything else. So he was trying to send us over to the Christian side of their thing, which was called Word Records.
Gotcha.
And they had Amy Grant and,
I remember Word,
stuff, right? But they had A&M distributing. So we went to Texas and tried to do it through them, and it was horrible. And long story short, we ended up back in Kansas, deal-less, and not happening. And the guy we had as a manager went to jail because he was like a crook.
Okay.
And he had told us we were going to get signed to Solar, Dick Riffey Solar. That didn't happen. So we ended up back home in Kansas, kind of broke and really kind of disgusted because all my clothes were still out here in LA. So, how did it happen? So my friend Steve Williams went to this Club Nouveau show in Wichita, and I wasn't a fan like that, so I didn't go. He calls me and says, hey, I got, because we had a demo done, dope demo. And so people in the Wichita area and the areas surrounding that knew us, this group, for what we were, thought we were like the next commission / Winans,
gotcha,
Energy, and Clark's with a Clark thing in there. So
I gotta hit
they
the
were
demos.
I got it.
Yeah.
They were expecting us to go that route, and then I had this demo, and my friend took that demo and gave it to Jay King of Club Nouveau. Heard it. He said, they called me, and he was like, yo, your friend, he needs to get out of my room, but he gave me this tape. Can I take this tape to Benny Medina at Warner Brothers? And I had saw bad press about what they went through with Club Nouveau and Timex Social Club. They got into a legal battle. So I said no. I was like, nah, we good. I thought I was saying some shit. We good. John McClane is looking at us, at A&M. I'm 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're good. And he's like, are you serious? He said, you are in Wichita, Kansas, and I'm telling you that I can have you a record deal in 2 weeks based on that tape. He said, would you please let me take the tape? And I looked around my mom's little 2-bedroom house, and I thought about it. And I said, and we just came back from, everything failing. I said, all right, cool. So in 2 weeks, I was washing dishes in my mom's sink. Phone rings. Old school off the wall, put it on my ear. Hello? Jay King, are you ready to move to California? Excuse me? Benny Medina wants to sign you to Warner Brothers. You guys have a record deal. And that's how it all started.
Wow.
And I did a whole album for Warner that you can get off of Discogs or it's floating around. Yeah. It's called Cache Des Voix is the name of the group, and the name of the album is Personal. I wrote and produced the whole album by myself.
Where'd the name Cache Des Voix?
We were just trying to be Club Nouveau. We were trying to be friends.
Gotcha.
Some bull. But anyway,
I was reading that earlier.
Yeah, right?
Just in my notes, and I'm like, Cache
Why
Des
that,
Voix.
right?
Well, we're from Louisiana, and it sounded like something,
Right, it's trying to be French.
Sounded French, yeah.
We thought it meant unique voice, which it didn't even translate to.
Gotcha.
But anyway, whatever. And then you Louisiana, so you really could be like, what?
Yeah.
But long story short, I paid my dues in that time period by learning and listening, and I was able to record a whole album. I was able to work. I got to work with Stevie Wonder for the very first time because of that album.
Come on, man.
That story is crazy. Derek Allen from Sacramento, good friend.
Big shout out to DOA.
DOA, my man, literally asked me to do some background vocals for Bobby Brown because Bobby was huge in 89.
That's right.
90, with the album.
Huge.
So they needed somebody that could sing and play. I did that American Music Awards performance with Bobby in that year. I think I was 89.
Bobby Brown's larger than life in 89.
90, yeah, crazy. 90, right in there.
Yeah.
It had to be 90 because it was the beginning. It was like February of 90. Okay. But he was getting ready to get an award, for what had happened the previous year.
Gotcha.
So I did that show. In my hotel room when I'm about to leave to go back to Sacramento, drive back with my raggedy car, and I didn't want anybody to see, so I was just like kind of laying back, so I didn't want all the star people to see me in my little raggedy car. I got to drive back to Sacramento. So I'm sitting in the lobby. They have a piano. And I'm tinkering, playing some commission joint, and a guy walks by. And he stops and he goes, and he heard me singing, and he starts singing a harmony to I think we might have been doing Unworthy or something.
Okay.
And Mitchell Jones in my mind. Come on.
Mitchell Jones.
Right? So I'm singing that, and then this voice comes waving in, singing along with me, like, who is this singing with me? Sounding pretty much like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
It was Keith John, Stevie Wonder's background guy forever.
Yeah.
And he says to me, what's your name? And I said, you're Keith John. He said, yes, but what's your name? I said, I'm Brian Alexander Morgan. And I always said my middle name because there was this other Brian Morgan in the business working on the East Coast that I didn't want to ever confuse. So I said, Brian Alexander Morgan. He said, not the Brian Alexander Morgan that is on that Cache record we got on the tour bus.
Wow.
I said, what? Because it never came out. He said, yeah, Stevie listens to that on the bus.
Come on.
We have that. We got it as a promo.
Wow.
And we didn't know who that was. And he said, but I heard your voice and that's you.
Synergy.
I said, solely that is me. And I'm blowing out. He said, so check this. He said, so Stevie's doing the Grammys in March. Can you stay here long enough to do the Grammys with us? I'm like, what? What are you doing? He said, we're singing to Paul McCartney. We're doing the Beatles, We Can Work It Out, but Stevie's version from 1970. I said, absolutely. So he said, all you got to do is show up at the Shrine. There's going to be a long line. Don't worry about it. We're going to get you out of the line. We'll bring you to Stevie, and you'll sing with me and this other guy. His name is D. Levance. You'll sing with us, and you'll basically audition directly for Stevie. And that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
I get into the audition. We audition. Stevie pulls the tape. He had a DAT player, which was amazing at the time. Little portable DAT thing, and he plays the track, and we all sing. And then he made us do different parts, each of us, to see what we would sound best doing. High note, middle note, low note. We did, and then I ended up on the show. So you can YouTube that performance from 1990 on the Grammys with me. Probably like 25 years old on the stage with Stevie doing We Can Work It Out. And then I drove back to Sacramento, still broke.
But see, stuff like that. First of all, stories like that are golden.
It's crazy, right?
But I'm listening to that, and I'm just like, that's how things happen, just that quick.
Yes, it was crazy. Of course, all the people in Wichita saw me because I called everybody and said, I'm going to be on TV and blah, blah, blah. That's the year Bonnie Raitt won for her album Nick of Time.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Amazing. So I was just happy to be among all those people. Bette Midler, everybody signed my book. Natalie Cole, B.B. King, Ella Fitzgerald, all signed my little book. You know, I was kicking it with John Stamos and Paula Abdul, and then again went back to Sac, broke.
But these are stepping stones.
Stepping stones for sure.
So from that point, all right, you singing background for Stevie. Did you ever do any more gigs with Stevie?
Not with that, no. Because the next time I saw Stevie called me and told me to come to the studio because SWV was huge. SWV had blown all the way up. And
so let's bring that back. Yeah. Okay, so now you're being recognized. You're making relationships. You're networking.
Well, first of all, we got dropped from Warner.
Okay.
So that part of him having that album and playing it for Stevie was amazing because we had gotten dropped.
So the album never was released?
Never was released.
So they just...
so the fact that they had it was mind-blowing.
You never asked him how he got it?
I know he got it because...
how did he get it?
Oh, I'm sure he got it from records like that float around when it was about to come out. So it was on the release schedule.
Gotcha.
So when that happens, people that for example, Guy was the biggest thing at the moment when that was happening.
Yeah.
So MCA would want to know who's their competition. So the record that I had was kind of a Guy-ish type of record. And so the people at Warner were like, we want people to know that this exists and this is the competition to that.
Gotcha.
So they would send it to, tastemakers.
Yep.
Cashbox, Billboard, Stevie Wonders.
Yeah.
That's how he got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so from there, how'd you get to SWV?
Okay, so getting dropped, being broke, being devastated. One thing I wasn't going to do was move back to Kansas.
Right.
So I had to figure it out real quick. What am I going to do? So back when and this is back to the records influences, back when I was 12, I was such a record person that I would never even go to lunch. So they had a little turntable in the lunchroom, it's like a lunchroom, but it was a music room where people went to on their lunch. But it was a music room.
Gotcha.
Instruments in there, piano in there, a little turntable with speakers. I would go in there and bring my hottest whatever Parliament, Stevie. I'm bringing all my joints in there and playing them for the white kids.
Yeah.
So it became a thing. My first DJing was for these groups of 12-year-olds and 11 and 12-year-olds. So in 1978, when I was 12, one of the biggest records out that year was a record called Disco Heat by Sylvester. In the record Disco Heat, the female vocalist stood out to me so bad I would always get chills when these ladies would sing, and it ended up being 2 Tons of Fun, which was Martha Wash.
Yeah.
So put a pin in that. I could put that in my soul. I was like, you know what? That voice, that lady right there.
Vocal.
So now that's 78. Cut all the way a decade later in 88. I hear on the radio, everybody, that do do.
Oh yeah.
Martha Wash again. I'm like,
she sang with 2 Tons of Fun.
Yes,
right.
But now she's got a hit record with this Italian group called Black Box. So everybody was a smash in '89.
Isn't she everybody?
Yeah, that's the next year. So then the next year happens, and it's 89, 90. Now she's the voice of CNC Music Factory.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I felt like, okay, now God's trying to tell me something because I'm broke. I know that. I got that part. I got that message.
You talking some legendary.
But here's what I'm going to do. I can write for that lady because I've been loving her since that record when I was 12. Disco Heat. So I'm like, I know I can write some joints for her. And she had just sued CNC Music Factory, and part of her deal, her settlement was that she got a record deal.
Yeah.
So RCA Records signed her. And I said, hey, I'm going to take my little janky equipment and make some songs for her. So that's exactly what I did. I wrote 4 songs. I think within a couple of weeks, she called me herself. Martha Wash was like, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But what you're doing is what we want on this record. She said, this A&R person is Kenny Ortiz. Get in touch. How fast can you get to New York?
Wow.
And I had never been to New York in my life. So that's how it all started. And now she was at RCA. That guy, Kenny Ortiz, is the same person who had a demo of the girls that would become SWV.
Come on, man.
So that's how it started. And then the first thing I wrote for them from scratch was I'm So Into You.
Come on, man.
And we was off to the races. And they came to Sacramento, recorded half of it, and recorded the other half of it in New York.
You got to let that rest for a second. Like, I'm So Into You was a huge hit.
That was their breakthrough joint.
Come on.
Without that, none of the rest of the stuff happens because Right Here came out first, the original Right Here, and it didn't do so great. And so we were kind of worried, like, oh, and then that's the exact time when TLC was in their Crazy Sexy Cool, had changed their whole image, no tomboy stuff, like the hot sexy stuff. And we was like, ooh.
So that was for their first album? SWV's first album was during the Crazy Sexy Cool time line?
It was during when they switched styles. I mean, switched looks.
Because I remember.
I don't know if the record was caught up to it, but the look had already changed.
Yeah, they
were already. They were already over the whole
the tomboy.
Yeah, they was over that. So we knew that the competition was not looking like what we thought they was going. The really competition was at that point was Mary J.
Yeah,
the only thing
hip hop soul.
Yeah, hip hop soul. Right. So that's how they marketed them. And thank God the music matched the look.
Yeah. Because
the girls, were around the way girls.
Yeah.
And I think that connected. And Coco's nails became a thing.
That's right.
And so that was like a little trademark and a kind of a hook. So,
but she also had
the tone of life.
Come on, man.
Right?
I'm sorry. Like, I talk about SWV often. And I mean, like, again, I love all the female groups. They all make great, great music. But I feel Coko, she's probably the best female vocalist of any girl group.
Yeah.
I mean,
the tone that is so unique that A, you know it immediately when you hear it.
Yeah. B,
there's no other voice like it.
Right.
So
I remember, Coco's voice is just unique. I have these conversations all the time. So, and I'm one of the people that wants to pay homage to all the R&B contributors. I don't want to measure people against each other.
Of course, yeah.
At the same time, you like other people better than others for whatever reason. And when I make my rankings, I'm like, I can't hear another female lead vocalist that just had a better pure voice than Coko.
Right.
A bunch of amazing singers.
The timing of how what I was doing as a singer kind of intersected with her and me meeting. It was, to me, I have a equivalent of it that I think is the equivalent of it. Charlie Wilson, when he was merged with Shirley Murdoch.
Okay.
On Computer Love.
Yeah.
That merging on Computer Love, when you hear Charlie, computer love, on that, right? And then Shirley Murdoch, I want to love you, baby. Yeah. Those two things coming together on that is what me and Coko are. Because I'm writing it for her, but I'm coming from that branch you talked about. Right. The branch of Stevie, Charlie. Yeah. And now, but Coco's tone is closer to Shirley's. So it's just those two things coming together. And now how I do my vibrato styles or speeds, or how I call it snatch. How I snatch a vocal or snatch a run and all that stuff now becomes what's coming out of her mouth. But that was the interesting thing. Same thing with Mary when Kenny Green was writing for her. Like Kenny Green's style came through Mary's voice. Yes. On Reminisce.
Yes.
But Mary had so many different other writers that it wasn't a signature only thing, right?
Yeah. Only musicians recognize that.
Right, and they do in a big way.
Yeah. I recognize that.
And singers.
Yeah.
But Coko and I, it's a symbiotic, is what I'm trying to say.
I hear you.
It's a truly symbiotic relationship where I sing the demo exactly as it is, and then she literally sings it as exactly as it was. And I think because of that, because she didn't like to ad-lib, and so it just made it easier to get it done. Like, here it all is, all laid out, every single ad-lib, and then she just sings it. And it just worked. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So you meet Coko, you meet SWV, you guys have this synergy. That first album, you had like 8 or 9.
I had seven
or eight singles or songs on that album.
6 singles all were mine, and then 8 tunes total. 7 or 8 tunes total on that.
So these are singles, and these are all of their singles went.
Oh yeah.
How many albums did that sell? If you remember,
3 million initially,
right?
And now I think we're at 7.
Okay, yeah, I knew about the triple platinum because it did that.
It did that
first
in
year.
the first, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think we just got a new certification recently for 7.
Come on,
7 million. Yeah.
So at that time, you are singer. Well, you're the songwriter and producer.
Right.
At that time, obviously, the music business has shifted significantly in terms of how we're paid, how money's being made. You do that many. I mean, you guys sell 3 million albums the first year. You wrote. I mean, what was that payday like?
It was good,
yeah.
But I also did a publishing deal that I shouldn't have done because if I'd have just waited and just got my money directly and not have a publishing deal in the middle of my money, because all they do is give you back your own money. Like if you we went #1 pop. And so that's a lot of money because that's just a lot of airplay over and over and over and over and over. I'm So Into You was a top 5 pop record, the top 6 pop record, pop record, not just black.
Yeah,
it went #6 on the Hot 100. So that's another, and it was a gold single. So it sold and it played and it was, And then right here, another gold single. Like it was just bop, 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 bop. And I wish I hadn't done a publishing deal because I could have literally not only had more control over what I ended up selling part of recently. Sure. But not all. I didn't sell all my shit.
Gotcha.
But part of it. But here's the thing. I did not, that little $300,000 they gave me was nothing. They were literally giving me what I had already earned in the pipeline. It was already there.
This is in the early 90s.
This is the early 90s, yeah. So you never seen money like that when you're a kid coming from Kansas like me. So you think $300,000 is like a lot of money, but after taxes is really not. And also, I probably had $1 million in there. That they're now in control of, and that they gave me 300,000 of it that they just got back.
Yep.
From the $1 million that's sitting there.
Yeah.
So it's just stupid. It's just not a smart move.
I mean, but we weren't educated at that time.
No, not at all. And I was coming out of once I fell off with the Warner thing. I'm like, okay, now I'm in here. I'm in here now.
Yeah.
And no, you're not.
Wow. Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
So I want to get to but the impact, we talked about legendary contribution. And that particular album, Weak, was on that album, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's do a deep dive really quick.
Okay.
On Weak, take me on that journey. Like what were you going through? What made you come up with that song? Like how'd you get there?
Okay, so going back to when we first got dropped from Warner, I was so depressed that I didn't think I was gonna make it. Like spiritually, emotionally, I was just done. Sleeping in the fetal position every night, like going, how can I go back to Kansas? I failed. I can't even go back home. I was supposed to be the next big thing. Aaron Hall is winning. I'm broke. It was a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, the only thing I know how to do is write something for other people that I know is in my style. So Charlie, in that time, they had a record out called Wednesday Lover on Capitol Records, which I love. So that was my goal, was just to write something as dope as Wednesday Lover for Charlie Wilson. I was like, if I can just get this to Charlie, then at least I'll have some writer's money. So between the Martha Wash thing and writing those things, Martha came a little later, but the immediate thing I did was write for Charlie.
Gotcha.
And so that's how Weak got written. That was 1988.
So you wrote Weak for Charlie.
Wrote Weak for Charlie, but I was in a situation with a friend, and who happened to be my boss, but their romantic thing wasn't working, and then we had some energy that I wasn't even remotely going to explore because my boss would have killed me.
Sure.
So Weak is about the frustration of not being able to explore the energy, as opposed to Shirley Murdoch's joint called As We Lay, which is when you completely explore the energy.
Yeah.
And then it's after the energy that you feel crazy, like it's morning and what
do
we do?
Yeah.
So Weak is about we can't do it. But that's how that happened.
Gotcha.
That's how Weak got written. And then, like I said, the rest of it, I did Martha, and that had to happen to get me to RCA. And then when Kenny played me at SWV, I had Weak, but I didn't play it for him. I wasn't trying to give up Weak for some reason. I wanted to do it on myself.
Gotcha.
I was still holding in the back of my mind that I could be a solo artist in the back of my mind. And I'm gonna keep it 100. Weak flowed around in the hood because of a friend of mine's, her baby daddy over there. He was my barber.
Nice.
And he made a dub. Remember the old two cassette deals.
Yeah.
So I give a person the tape to play it, and they making a copy of it without me knowing.
That's right.
So he made a copy of it, and it circulated around the hood and ended up in the Bay Area. Like everybody knew that song "Weak" from that demo.
Wow.
And it became a hood
Classic.
demo thing.
Gotcha.
And I didn't know it till somebody called me and said, "Hey, you got to hear this," and they didn't know who it was, and it was me.
But it's my record.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's like 4 years before it ever got to SWV.
Wow.
It was that circulating as a
So
demo.
it was destined to be it. Was
Oh my God.
But the
so
song
crazy.
is so massively written.
Well, thank you. But I just wrote it from the heart, something I thought Charlie could do. And if you listen, you could just hear him do every bit of it.
Yeah, no
Right?
question. When I
mean,
first
all
heard that, I was like, I can definitely hear.
Right?
I could definitely hear Steve
Murder
Charlie
it.
singing that song.
But with Coco's tone and voice, it takes it to this other place.
No question.
And she hated it and didn't even want to do it.
Come on.
So yeah, had to
She
force her.
inspired every church girl that could sing.
Right.
They wanted to sing that song.
Right. Could I say that Questlove told me when he was interviewing me, he said "Weak" is the new black anthem, like lift every voice and sing.
Wow.
Supposed to be. He said, and I said, why are you saying that? He said, no, it really is. He said, here's why. He said, because more people know the lyrics to "Weak" than they do that.
Wow. You know what? That is true.
And
we all don't know that.
and that's the one
Lift Every
thing that
Voice.
you're gonna be at the cookout. You're gonna hear at least one SWV song, if not 3. And I like that. That's like the culture. That means the culture is speaking.
That goes back to me saying the SWV's catalog, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's time, and we can still play it right now.
Oh yeah.
Like we can still play it right now, and it's still hidden.
And the new artists today are sampling and using it
Yes.
so much that it's through we can play the new She Ain't You, Chris
Yes.
Brown. You can play Baddest from Chris with Young Blue.
Yep.
That's always on my mind.
Yep.
You can play Chingy's Pulling Me Back. That's Rain.
Yep.
Like it's a lot. And I'm thankful. Rick Ross did a thing with Summer Walker called Summer Rain last year. They just haven't gone away. They're right. They're right there through the culture.
So, in terms of that, like what you're talking about, these songs was written in the '90s. You mentioned earlier, it's like you don't think you're a legend because of your catalog's that deep. But I'm like, what are you talking about?
I guess when Stevie has hundreds of joints, you know what I mean?
Icon.
And Jimmy and Terry are my friends, like same thing, like just hundreds of ridiculous joints.
But I mean, I look at what you've contributed as, it's almost like, if I can compare it to basketball, you think about someone like Tracy McGrady, right? Tracy McGrady may not have the chips, but he got the respect.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, Kobe Bryant said he was one of the hardest guys to defend. You know.
So I get what you're saying. So just the ones that are respected by the ones.
That's what matters, bro. to us.
The ones respected by the ones,
us,
right?
Well, but not just that, not just respecting that, but you've actually got the accolades for you actually sold the records. Like the records are sold, and through decades, this is decade 4. You know, this is 30, 40 years coming up to that.
Yeah.
We're still singing these songs, and every generation are sampling these songs.
That's a good point. I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
That's not happening for everybody.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
So, you know, just, you know, you got to.
That's amazing. Now, that part I appreciate, and I know it's true. Because my peers, I'm cool with most people that I was cool with 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And I know that's true. So, and I was asking somebody the other day, why aren't they sampling TLC or Destiny's Child or Jade or, you know, why aren't they sampling those records? Because there's some dope stuff on those records.
For sure.
But they keep going back to this, whatever my sound is. I don't know. The Church Street thing, maybe?
Man, wear your crown, brother.
The authenticity?
Wear your crown, brother. Wear your crown, yo.
I love it.
Yeah. So when I think about, I guess we're talking about like the music going on throughout decades. You know, you have multiple songs that people are covering like that. Yeah. So we're going to go into a segment that we call Pin Game.
Okay. Oh,
right.
Okay.
So this is, you know, I talked about this. So if you guys have not been paying attention to the show, on episode 1, I'm talking about, you know, just the contribution of producers, songwriters, etc. And I do my take on, you know, the impact of that record. Right? And this is when I called Bam out. I was like, yo, I need you on the show, da-da-da-da. So take me on the journey of how that song came to be.
Which one?
Rain.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, Layla Hathaway, 1994. SWV's huge at this time. I had just worked with Usher the same year, his debut. I did a song called Crazy on there. And people would literally come to Sacramento to work with me.
Yeah.
Right? So, when I knew that I was going to be doing a Layla Hathaway record, because Layla's so special to me, obviously, because her roots, and just who she is as an artist. For sure. So I was like, I got to, spend some time with her. I'm not going to just record with her. So I made a plan to come down to LA, visit her at her place, get a feel for her personality before I started writing. Sure. So we hung out, and she pulled out these vinyls, these records, and one of them was Coko. Pastorius. So she pulled the record out, and I was taken by that cover because it's so striking. Black and white cover, and then Herbie Hancock did the liner and the thing. I was like, whoa, if Herbie's introducing this guy, this is probably some,
For sure.
So I put it on, and when it got to the Portrait of Tracy joint, it blew my mind. I'm like, what is going on? And then she was telling me that it's harmonics. He's doing all that with harmonics. I'm like, what? He's making chords with harmonics. Who does that? That's like some genius. Ridiculous. Yeah. So, but I always said to myself, in that moment when I heard that, I said, if I ever use that do, I was like, if I ever use that, something's gonna be cold. I don't know what it is, but it's gonna be cold. That's 1994. I put out a record on Layla called Let Me Love You. Everything went great. I forgot all about it. 3 years later, in 1997, I'm in the shower. I have this whole hook come to me, which is the hook of Rain. And I hardly ever get a whole hook as a whole with the words.
Just deposited.
Came through. Like a whole, just came straight through. So I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I got the whole hook. I said, I need to go see what key I'm hearing that in. So I went to the keyboard. I was hearing it in this particular key. And then I said to myself, boom. I said, hold on. If this Coko, when I pull this record off this shelf, is in the same key as what I'm hearing this thing in, these chords in, and this hook, this whole thing I already got written, those things are supposed to go together. So I pulled out the Coko, put on the record, and sure enough, it was right in the key of what I was hearing my other part, the hook in. And I got the chills, and then I was like, this is crazy. And I said, I'm not going to wait to do this beat. I'm going to do this beat right now. So I put the drums on it and played the keys on it. And then it just fit that piece of Portrait of Tracy into it. And it became the verses. Because I was like, I know my hook is what I already have. Sure. So I just need to put that in there for the verses. So that's how it happened.
So take me on, but in terms of how you put those lines together, because I'm telling you, like lyrically, you just snapped on that record. That's just one of them joints, like you just, you know what I mean?
I think. Let me think about. Okay, so when I finished the track, and I had that water, and the drip, I was continuing my theme of I love the water thing. Yeah. So anything, the slow version, starts out with my voice and drips and all that. Yeah. So I was like, I need something that's giving me that water thing again, because it's just something about it's healing. For sure. I think we come from it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted some water vibes in there. So when I thought water, I was like, this joint's got to be sexy. Yeah. It cannot just be I want to do you type of record. Yeah. And I don't want it to be a corny I love you type of record either. Yeah. So I was like, what can I say that hasn't been said? Right. And I was like, ooh, I got it. Female orgasm. I'm gonna write this completely from a perspective of what is a female orgasm like. And when I said that in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about what is it. Gotcha. And sometimes it's soft. Yeah. And then sometimes it could be like a flood. Or all the metaphors start coming. Yeah. Full as a dam.
That's right.
At capacity. This is when I'm like really about to bust. You feel me? Like, man. So it's all of that. Yeah. And then I thought to myself, I love this because soon as you start doing that, it's so divine that people will automatically assume that it's spiritual. And that's exactly what happened. I was talking about a female orgasm, but then people in South Central at their church was playing it and singing their church. Rain down. Yeah, spirit. And when I'm talking about the rain, that's the orgasm itself.
I got you.
So, but I always thought that those two things should not be separate.
And I don't know that they are.
People try to make like, okay, now that we're talking about it, this song and these lyrics have come back as a topic of discussion, as you probably know, where somebody has said that, well, it's about getting, ejaculated on and all these things. No, it's about sexual satisfaction in the form of a divine experience, period. And I think that's how we make life, last time I checked.
That's right.
So it's not dirty. It's something divine.
So it came from a pure place. People try to pervert it, but it's a pure.
But I love the metaphor that it can be spiritual.
Yeah.
Or sexual.
For sure.
That part.
But that's the masterful expression poetically in terms of how you wrote it and how you expressed it.
Thank you. And I think that Jocko piece that gives you the da, 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 that is just a melody that just would not leave me. It's so haunting. It's so something about it. It's sexy. It's dreamy.
Yeah.
So that's why in the bridge I wanted to keep that dreamy. I wanted to enhance the dreamy thing. So hence the fall down, fall down. I wanted to just like I wanted to float a little bit. Let's float. Let's float. And then we're back.
Yeah.
Because after an orgasm, it seems you can have a euphoria.
Sure.
And so that bridge is the after.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm getting the chills thinking about my own
Come
shit.
on, man. So,
but it's a real, truthful, honest, authentic place that it comes from. And I think that's why it still resonates.
That's fantastic. That song, so I heard a rumor, and I mean, I want to make sure this is accurate. I heard you originally wrote that song for Brandy.
Yeah, because now that's dealing with what happened on the second album. I had 5 songs on the SWV second album called New Beginnings, which the title itself is a slap in the face to me. And they didn't release any of the management at the time was like, apparently felt like I was making too much money and they wanted to make some more money too. So, I mean, it just turned into a greed, ridiculous, unnecessary thing. Because what they did was, I think they slowed their own momentum of what could have been like Fine Time on there, the ballad. Absolutely should have been a single, and everybody knows it. And Theo down here was playing it as if it was on the beat. Like they played that in the mid 90s like it was a single. But 5 songs on there that none of them got released as singles. I Love You're the One. That was a dope record. But it's still talking about the same things that I had already covered with I'm Sweating to You. That's just, side chick anthems.
Sure.
By the way, I love I'm Sweating to You is the ultimate side chick anthem.
It's a record, bro.
Can we talk about it?
It is.
That joint. That's a side chick anthem.
Baby girl, I don't know nothing about no side chicks. Just letting you know. I used to know about that.
Okay, right?
I used to know about that.
But long story short, that's how that happened. So they didn't do that, and I was angry.
Yeah.
So I love Brandy from her debut.
Sure.
She was already SWV fan because I saw her on Thea, that TV show she was on. She had an SWV poster in her bedroom that she told them specifically to put on there.
Nice.
Set designers. So I was like, she's a fan. So we had got in touch with each other. She had been working on Cinderella with Whoopi Goldberg.
That's right.
And she flew me to the set of that. She flew me, and I was also here on the set of Moesha when she was doing that. So, but one of those trips when Usher was in that episode, when I was there, Rodney Jerkins was there, and I played Rain for her and him.
Gotcha.
She was excited and wanted it. And here's the thing. I had already done a production song deal with Sylvia Rohn at Atlantic, her label. So they had already paid me to do like 5 songs up front. So basically it was one of those songs.
Gotcha.
I was considering it one of the 5 songs. And I had 2 or 3 other ones. I still have them now, demos. I'm going to try to get on a whole nother thing.
I got to hear all of this.
It's crazy.
I got to hear all
Joint
of
called
this
Don't
stuff.
Change. There's another one called Just Like It. It's crazy.
Come on, man.
But Rain was in a series of those for the song deal that I had done with Sylvia Rohn.
Okay.
Thought it was going to be on Brandy. Turns out, I'm going to wrap this, Rodney was in full control of that second album, which became the Never Say Never album with Boy Is Mine on it. He didn't really want it on there because it sounded so much like SWV to him, and I understand that and respect. And plus, it was a Dark Child thing. So, and putting that on there kind of threw that off. So,
and there's no question that song would have been a single.
Oh my God,
yeah,
right, and she would have killed it.
No, my God.
So it didn't happen. And then I get a call from RCA because they're already hearing that I'm trying to do it on Brandy because I had went to New York to record it on Brandy.
Gotcha.
It was going to happen.
Yeah.
Kelly Price and me in there. We were about to cut it at Daddy's house, Diddy studio, and then I get a call saying, "Hey, hold it." Rodney saying no, and then RCA was like, "Well, now that happened, can we have it back for SWV?" And I was still salty because of the last album y'all didn't release none of my singles. Why would I give you anything? Amen, somebody. So I looked at it this way. I said, I already got paid to do it at Atlantic. Why not get paid again from RCA for the same song? And that's exactly what happened. So when I cut it, I think word had gotten to Coko and them that I was going to do it on Brandy.
Yeah.
So that was the easiest session I ever had with Coko. She was so palatable and like pliable and amenable and loving.
Yeah.
So
because she snapped vocally.
Look, I instantly said to her, hey, on this joint, I want you to sing it so soft that it's like intimate. And that's what you hear.
Yeah.
She changes her tone on that. Yeah. And it gives you a sexy Coko that you hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
And I still to this day I love it, man. Like that performance.
It's so she sings lighter.
Lighter.
Yeah.
Lighter. We're not trying to R&B you over your head. This song is just a sexy statement.
Yeah.
Through this melody.
So, man, that's how that happens. That record, bro, like I'm telling you, like you see a lot of guys. I'm seeing guys, I'm seeing women, everybody's covering that record.
Oh yeah, Avery Wilson.
Did a
brilliant. And that went viral with everybody pretending that it was their voice.
That's
remember?
That's right.
That's 2 summers ago.
That's right.
Real talk. And I'm a good friend of Avery and Stevie Mackey and those guys. Her brother, Stevie Mackey.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that's Kamisha Mackey right there.
Wow. Shout out. Look.
Known them since they were kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an amazing vocalist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Killing it.
And he's like a vocal coach.
Come on now. Right now. All day, every day.
Yeah, okay.
So it's my branches are crazy how they veer off.
I'm glad we tapped in because we're going to be talking, brother.
For sure. And I'm going to let you come over and hear those demos of Week and Rain.
Can't wait.
My original ones.
Come on, man.
Oh, yeah. The ones that, in the real time.
I'm in LA for a couple of days. So
yeah. Let's get it.
Let's figure it out.
Absolutely.
Okay, that sounds great. So let's talk about, you've had a lot of success in the music. Fast forward to how the music business is now. Can you talk about the difference in like your, in terms of your experiences? I guess, you know what, before I get there, what broke your heart in R&B? And I'm going to ask that question because
that's a good question.
As I like to call myself, I'm a student of R&B. Now that I've started this show, some people are referring to me as an ambassador for R&B. And the truth is I accept that title because I'm just one that's just petitioning for people to get back to listening to R&B.
Right.
And, so when I look at that and I'm like, I've pursued so much, man. I've worked so hard, pursued to have a career in music or in R&B music. And again, I've had some looks and some things happen, but it never happened in a real way. And I've sacrificed a lot. So I got my heart broke by the business, trying to get out here, trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
So that question, I have to ask that because most of the musicians I know, producers, songwriters, who've had a lot of success, has a story about how they either almost quit or why they're not doing what they, why they aren't where they want to be, or what is it that happened that broke your heart about the business?
Yeah. Okay. That's a multi-faceted answer. For obviously the first broken heart I had was when I got dropped and my whole life seemed like it crashed. Yeah. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Not only with my career, but just with my whole self. My whole self was caught up in me being a singer, writer, producer. Sure. And when that went away, I didn't feel like I needed to exist anymore. So that's the closest I ever probably been to even remotely being like, I don't want to be here anymore. That was very deep. Yeah. But I think finding my voice through Martha, through SWV, saved me, right? But the heartbreak that I have now, this many years later, is how the industry top labels have taken advantage of the talent, the writers, the producers, the artists themselves, in that they changed the way we get paid, which is exactly what the writers are dealing with now in the film
industry, right?
We already had that happen in a major way when in 2004 they changed the pay scales of how we get paid because of downloading and streaming.
That's right.
So I feel like, I guess my heart is broken when I see people say we went platinum. I'm like, did you? And it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right.
That breaks my heart.
So from a streaming standpoint, cats have X amount of streams and now you're platinum, but it doesn't pay dividends in the same way.
Not at all. And like not even close.
No, not even close.
So even when I hear that phrase, it triggers me. I don't even want to hear that you're platinum or that you're any of those things because it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like when we went platinum back then, you sold X amount of records that said that you did do those things. That's right. A physical representation of what you actually did. Then you get the reward. But now you say it, and now what is the reward again? There is no reward because it doesn't even mean anything. And meanwhile, the pay scale has been shifted so dramatically against you that it is not only doesn't mean anything, it kind of slaps you in the face.
Right.
You know, it's like, whoa.
Do you think the labels are doing that, or
they made deals with the people
with
the tech companies, and they did not include the artists, the writers, and the producers in the way that they should have. So it's the same talk they're having. And I shout out to Tiffany Red. She's fighting with the 100%ers. I'm part of the 100%ers. Shout out to her for fighting for that exact same thing that these writers are fighting for. Not only a foothold on your own intellectual property, but not to devalue it.
Right.
Like they've done. But they've gotten away with it now for 15 solid years, 15, 20 years now, because we were into that deep into streaming and, the whole thing and downloads. So something's got to be done because people can make an honest living. And it's not about platinum awards. It never was. But if you're going to have those awards and they are representing a particular milestone, then let's make sure it represents the milestone.
That's right.
Right now, it's like that represents a gallstone. Because there's a lot of gall involved.
Man, that's a nugget right there. So that leads me to this next question. Diddy has just recently is in the news for him giving his artists their publishing. And if you ask me, it's kind of a day late, a dollar short.
And a whole lot of deaths later.
Come on.
Yeah.
So this is not like a diss at him because from a business side of things, I respect who he is and what he's done for the culture.
Of course.
As an iconic, record executive and artist, producer. But ultimately, just talking from the perspective of the artist, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
tough. It's tough. I mean, when you think about it's the same kind of thing. Now, think about it this way. When you combine what I'm saying about the whole floor has been pulled from under us with the pay scale.
Yeah.
So if him having their publishing was their lifeblood and the floor got taken out from under the blood itself, then what's left? It's almost like there's nothing left. Right. And so giving it back when the floor is already gone of what it used to represent.
That's right.
It's very much late.
Yeah.
And should it have been taken in the first place? Could you have participated in the income and not just own it? Like but again, today's artists, La Russell, that's why I respect people like La Russell from the Bay, the rapper from the Bay, who figured it out. He's like, you know what? I can do this myself and still reach, but because the things are so available now on the social media
for sure.
sites, you can do anything. You can sell it to your audience and never need a record deal.
That's right.
Don't need a record deal, really.
Well, I'm one as an independent guy now. Back in the day, I remember the radio royalty, I think it was like 6 cents for every 30 seconds. So if you got a song that's placed on radio, you make about 36 cents for a 3-minute song.
Right.
You get some spins, you're making a little ASCAP change, whatever.
But the Brent Fayers of the world are making the money.
Right.
Because they're not splitting it and having it taken by a publishing company. Or
shout
a record company.
Brent, because he's like the number one in R&B, I think, right now.
Murdering.
Independent.
And those sites that move it, that distribute it, are not taking that big of a cut. And so that's why he's making so much money. And so that's the new go platinum.
Yeah.
Or gold. So I wish that somebody would make that part of it be more known of how he's doing that. What's the name of it? Distro?
Oh, DistroKid.
DistroKid.
Yep.
All the distribution things. CD Baby, all of them.
United Masters.
They need to come up with a new system that encourages people to use those things. Because you get more of your money and more of your...
Yeah, I've released my music on CD Baby. I've released on the last few projects, I believe I've used DistroKid. And, when back then, though, we would sell a song. I'm seeing 75%, 80% of the project. If it's an album, $10, I'm gonna see about $8 from it. If it's a song, $1.
There you go.
I'll see 75
and
cents.
That's huge compared to what you do if you're on a major.
No question.
You're getting nothing. You're getting pennies.
No question.
So so there you go. That's what broke my heart.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Gotcha. So I guess we talking about going from Puff giving back publishing to the artists or whatnot. it's now a trend. You see, Herb Gotti just talked about he sold his masters,
right?
And I think he got $100 million, and a $200 million credit line or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he announced.
Is that real?
That's what he announced. I saw it on Drink Champs.
Okay.
And he's sitting there like he got the check too. So we'll
do some research.
Yeah. But that's what he's saying. That's what's been publicized. But there's a lot of guys. I mean, there's like guys like I think Future and a number of other guys have sold them. Dream have sold either some of their publishing or
I did a little some of mine.
Gotcha.
Not all.
So I was going to ask, like, would you? So you have done some
a part, but I get the rest. My other half of my stuff comes back to me in just a couple of years.
Gotcha.
So I won't be doing that again.
So that's that. So explain that. That's the 25, 30 year deal when you get that revert back. Or
Absolutely,
whatever?
it's called a reversion.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But I understand why people are doing it because it's just like any investment.
Sure.
In investing, you sell and you buy.
Right.
So sometimes you sell and sometimes you buying.
Right.
And now music has been turned into just a pure kind of like commodity.
Gotcha.
That you could sell like any other commodity. So it's unfortunate to me because it's so disposable in that sense. Because people think of it in terms of a market share or a move. But these are people's lives.
Yeah.
Number one.
For sure.
But when I did my piece that I did, it was very intentional because I wanted to build a certain type of studio. I wanted to have the money to do it right.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure it was in my home.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure certain perimeters were met.
For sure.
And I needed a certain amount of money to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, the only way I can do that kind of studio, if I'm going to use the people that built Dr. Dre's joint, which I did, it's got to be this way.
Nice.
So I did it. It was an investment, and now the investment is paying off because I'm working more than I've ever worked. I mean, I'm working.
That's fantastic.
I'm not paying nobody for no
that's
studio
fantastic to hear that because I love to hear legendary producers like yourself, songwriters, still active and not struggling. Because I have a lot of conversations like this, and I know a lot of guys who've contributed greatly.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to figure out how they're going to
survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same conversation that these actors and writers are having.
Absolutely.
And they've been doing it for half their life. So what you don't, by this time, if you're in your 40s and you've been making a living doing that, it's harder to be trying to think about trying to do a whole new career.
Right.
Please, man. It's like, this is a very life and death. It's very existential.
Yeah.
Right now. So it's not a game, and I think they got to figure it out.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're gonna switch gears a little bit. I'm gonna ask you a few questions and just kind of get your thoughts on these. So,
all right,
these are hot take questions.
All right.
Who has had the most impact on R&B?
Woo!
Stevie Wonder.
Oh my God.
Or Michael Jackson.
Oh my God. That's kind of a trick question for me because those two people and those two voices are the voices that influenced me the most and the earliest. So it's really, really personal. But if I had to break it down, I got to do it like this. On the writer's, producer's side, it would be Stevie landslide because he produced and wrote all those hits himself. But as an influential voice, I would give it to Michael. Here's why. He started out in that voice on ABC, I Want You Back voice, right? And had big old hits,
for sure,
ridiculous hits. Then there he has a middle voice that people don't think about. When his voice changed from Little Michael, that little Michael, to Who's Loving You Michael, to Get It Together or Dancing Machine Michael, that's a whole nother voice.
That's right.
Dance Machine voice is not the same voice as I Want You Back voice.
That's right.
But it still ain't off the wall voice yet either.
That's right.
So this dude had influential massive hits in 3 different tones. Nobody's ever done that. And I'm talking about big hits. Dance Machine with that robot thing, that was a cultural phenomenon.
That's right.
Singing his tail off, doing a robot.
That's right.
1974. 70 Michael, I'll Be There. The little Michael, forget about it. Who's Loving You? Let's go. Now you cut to 79, just the end of the decade, whole nother voice, and he's doing She's Out of My Life and Can't Help It and Rock With You.
Yeah.
3 entirely different tones.
Tough.
Give it to Michael.
Tough. I was gonna play devil's advocate. Whoever you pick, I was gonna pick the other person. But I love both just as much. So I ain't got.
Now some people might say, "Hey, wait a minute, Stevie started out with the fingertips voice. He did, but then there was a hit list, no hits 3 years in. Fingertips is 62. His next hit was Uptight, 66. That's a whole lot of years with no hits, and his voice completely changed. So we didn't hear the middle voice because he wasn't having no hits. So he went from that little to Uptight, everything is all right. It's like, okay, that's two different things completely.
That's right.
So Michael had that middle voice that when he's singing Dancing Machine, automatic system, that's a whole other voice from little Michael.
I've never added that to any of my arguments when I'm pushing for Mike.
Boom.
I love it. I
You
got
can add it now.
I'm gonna drag that in
because it's the truth. It's truly true.
Right now, I guess give me your argument for why R&B is the best genre.
I think R&B is.
I think it's a multifaceted.
I think it's the best genre because it's a multifaceted genre. R&B can have elements of gospel. R&B can have elements of jazz. R&B can have elements of hip hop. R&B can have elements of soul. R&B can have elements of country. R&B can have elements of rock. You can pretty much infuse anything into R&B.
That's funny. So at my wedding, I got married this past November.
Congrats.
And thank you. And to our first dance, we came out to Lenny Kravitz's "I Belong to You."
Oh my God! See,
So
and I work with Lenny, by the way.
Come on,
you probably didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I did.
Come on. So we came out to that record, and that record is very much R&B to me. I mean, it's definitely it's rock, and you feel those elements. But when that hook comes on, "I belong to you,"
absolutely.
You know,
and I'm so glad you mentioned that because Lenny is one of the few people who understood how to blend R&B with the rock.
That's right.
Let Love Rule. Are you kidding me?
Come on.
That whole album.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you call it?
Come on.
Come on, man.
It ain't over till it's over.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then he could do a solo anywhere, anytime.
That's right.
That's gonna be rock.
That's right. That's right.
So whatever.
Nah, he contributed greatly. Just as a shout out to Lenny Kravitz.
For sure. I worked with him like in 2002.
Nah, man, he's a legend too. So I love.
When you come to the crib, you'll see this nice picture of us working in the studio at Larrabee.
Well, we coming.
Yes.
What you doing tonight?
Yeah. We'll see. Not sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We talked about Coko and how much I love her voice. We talked about Brandy. She's one of my favorite all-time.
Another voice. That's right.
I heard you briefly mention that you might have something that you're cooking up for Jasmine Sullivan. She's one of my favorite vocalists.
The two other songs that I had for Brandy very much lend themselves to Jasmine for sure. So
with that said, can you rank your top 5 female vocalists all time?
Ooh, my goodness. Okay. Yes, I can. I will try it. Let's go. I'll try to do chronologically.
Okay.
That's easier. Ella Fitzgerald. Just for her sheer genius. And improv skills like that are not, no, that's just not. That's like just a God gift.
No, for sure.
Ella, Aretha, the next voice that changed the whole world.
Sure.
Shaka.
Come on.
The 70s thing that changed it.
That's right.
Kim Burrell. Woo. The 90s thing. Coko.
That's a strong list. I have a Kim Burrell story. Back in '94, I tell you I grew up Kojic. So I'm not sure if you've heard of this lady, Betty Nelson from Houston. She was she is a pastor. She was married to it. She's a Kojic pastor of the church. And she's a kind of like a godmother to me growing up.
Oh, sweet.
So she was under Mattie Moss Clark. So she come from that tree.
Oh, yeah.
And her, she sounds just like Twinkie. Sounds just like
whoa.
Killer.
So I need to hear her.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And she's from Houston, and Kim Burrell's from Houston.
Absolutely.
So Kim comes from under her.
Got it.
Her arc.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So she used to come get me and my younger brother and some of our family members from our church in Louisiana and bring us to Houston in the summers and train us.
So you met Kim early?
Oh, yeah.
And knew
94.
What? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she was doing those independent albums.
That's right. She was doing those but I was like, oh my God, Planet Oregon, killing. Yeah. Now I haven't seen her, or I don't, it's been over 20 some odd years since I've even interacted with her in that way.
Got it.
But big shout out to her. I've always just admired her as someone that,
absolutely nuts.
But that's a crazy list. All right. Last question. What are 3 R&B artists in the past 5 years that you enjoy?
In the past 5 years?
Yeah.
Anderson .Paak. Bruno.
For sure.
Donnie. There's this guy named Donnie. It'll be the last 10 years.
You talking Donnie? No, that's been about 15 years.
15, yeah. I liked him.
I know Donnie
a lot.
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I know his music.
Loved him.
Yeah.
And I met him, and he was cool.
He dropped in like 04, actually.
Yeah, 04-ish. Loved his tone. Okay. Let me think about this. You talking about, this is male?
Well, R&B artist.
R&B artist, okay. Ooh. Oh, well, if it's R&B artist, we got to throw SZA in there for her uniqueness.
Yeah.
And then in the last, let's see. Oh, I like her tone. This is gonna be weird. What's her name? Her and her brother. They're the pop chick. She's in the new Barbie movie. Her brother did he plays piano for her. She's huge.
Oh,
the white girl. Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. Yeah.
I'm gonna put Billie Eilish.
I'm sitting here like, wow.
I'm gonna put Billie Eilish on the list because her ethereal vibes I think is unique and I love it. Yeah. And then in the whole Barbie experience, her song really grabs you.
Nice.
Stands out and grabs you. But I've always liked her vibes.
Gotcha.
But between her and her brother Finn, they're kind of cold as far as just writing.
And be honest with you, I haven't really tapped in.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with her for sure, and she is amazing. I haven't really tapped in. So
I'd be remiss without including her because she's super influential.
Yeah.
And him and with his pen. To me, they are arguably the Brian and Coko of the pop thing because he writes the stuff and she delivers it.
Nice.
But the symbiotic thing is amazing with them.
Nice. I'm gonna have to add that to my playlist. Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother.
Yo, I hope I did all right.
Man, come on, man. This is fantastic, bro. This is fantastic.
Word.
The whole point of this show is educating people on the music business. We have a conversation about R&B in general. And, I have a heart to introduce people like yourselves in the forefront to the audience who are behind. I guess, you're behind all our favorite songs. You know what I'm saying? So
I love it.
This is a platform that not only highlights the artists, but it highlights all R&B contributors.
Well, hopefully I said something that I didn't say on Questlove or something.
Man,
I think we did a whole separate thing.
Man, you dropped some nuggets. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, it's a whole different show.
It is.
So that's what's up, man. I really appreciate you coming.
Did you ever listen to that interview?
I did not.
So now I want you to listen to that.
I will.
So then I want you to, because that might be an hour.
I listen to his show all the time.
Check that interview out. And check out Shantae Moore's. She did one too,
nice.
not too long ago.
We need to get Shantae on the show.
Oh, for sure.
Shantae Moore, can we talk R&B? Listen.
Oh my God, she's a good interview.
Before you get up, brother, I gotta tune out. Listen, this is a continued conversation. So, can we talk R&B? Thank y'all for tuning in. What's up?
Can we talk?